Hello, welcome to It Builds Character, a series that's going to focus on different aspects of character design and ways to go about it, as well as some speed draws and some of my own processes. For this video, I'm going to be talking about two different ways that you can go about designing characters. The first is deciding on backstory and personality first, and then basing the design off of that. And the second is designing a character first and adding the details and all that stuff, and then using those details to inform the character's personality and backstory. So for this video, I'm using a Tiefling knight named Amity from my D&D campaign that I'm running for the rest of the group. For a bit of context, Amity is a member of the Hummingbird Knights, which is a group of warriors who serve a monarch called the Vernal Queen. Each Hummingbird Knight is bonded to a giant bird. For example, Amity has a huge barn owl named Casper. The knights wear green armor inspired by bird feathers. Amity doesn't really wear hers, but the knights have helmets with this long sort of proboscis thing that looked cool when I drew it, but in hindsight is probably a pain in the ass to wear. So, going into the first route of character design, backstory and personality first, and then details second. So, going in, we know that Amity is an ice tiefling, so I decided on a blue color scheme and white hair to accent it. She's a hummingbird knight, so we know that she's going to wear their armor and she's going to have a bird. She's an archer, so she gets this nice little bow and quiver. This also tells us that since she is a dexterity-based fighter, her physique will be more the lean muscle build rather than the bulk of like a strength-focused character. Since she's trained in hand-to-hand combat, she should also have other weapons beside the bow. In her case, she carries daggers with her. Quick note on props. Prop design can really help reinforce a character's personality and overall design. For example, Amity's bow is a pale blue and very elegantly curved, with sort of like swirling carvings etched into it. And the daggers that she carries are also pretty high quality, with little jewels in the hilt, which I'll get to that more in a minute. That just kind of reinforces that she's an elegant character. So back to just overall character design, horns can be a really good way to make tiefling characters distinctive. You can have like ram horns, you can have twisty horns, you can have nubby horns, just you name it, you can have it. For Amity, I wanted her horns to reinforce that she's an elegant but unassuming character, hence the pretty small horns but are still kind of delicately curved. I wanted Amity to be a very nervous, constantly worried person, so her expression was almost always anxious, even when she's happy. And I will get to expressions more in a bit. So backstory-based design is a really good way to go about it, since your decisions about who they are will inform your decisions about the details of the design. It works well enough that it's the go-to method of character design for probably most creators, myself included. But another way to go about it that might be kind of fun and a bit more challenging is to have a design first, and then base their personality and backstory off of that design, basically doing the whole thing in reverse. And this isn't going to work all the time, and I personally think it works best to know who your character is before you try to set their design in stone, but this reverse method might lead to neat little quirks and backstories that you otherwise might not have considered. So when I first designed Amity, I gave her a bunch of jewelry, just solely because I liked how it looked. Same thing with her daggers having jewels in the hilt. I started to think about it a bit more, though, and when I was working on fleshing out her backstory, I kind of thought, okay, is there a reason she wears all this jewelry? And that led me to build up a past for Amity where she was the daughter of noble jewelers and had been expected to take up the business when she got older. But she wanted to be a hummingbird knight, and that's what she did. And so now her relationship with her parents is strained because of it. I also decided that the jewelry, though clearly high quality, isn't gaudy, because it wouldn't fit with how she sort of shies away from too much attention. So little design elements like that can seem pretty inconsequential at first, but they can lead to really interesting character development. Okay, so another thing I wanted to talk about was posing and expressions. This kind of ties in with the reverse design method. If you're unsure of who exactly your character is, something you can do is just draw them in a bunch of different poses. They can be as detailed or loose as you want. I like to do silhouettes so that I don't get caught up in the tiny details and can focus more on the body language and the overall shape. Amity is always nervous, but she is a captain, so she carries herself tall when she's doing official hummingbird knight things and speaking to her superior. In battle, she's efficient and steady. She doesn't miss, unless she rolls a 1. But outside of combat and the knights, Amity wrings her hands all the time and fiddles with her jewelry. Her shoulders kind of hunch in a bit, like just curving in on herself. I think body language is super important to conveying a character's personality without overt dialogue or exposition. You're not going to see Amity strutting around with her head held high and her chest puffed out, with a little spring in her step the whole time. Instead, she sort of walks quickly and stays small and close to herself. It's kind of like in The Sims where you can pick a character's walking animation, like how the sim will just be skipping along and then another one will have them slumped over and just trudging through life because the universe just fucking hates them. Expressions are also really important. If you don't know your character's personality yet, experiment with expressions and see what fits and what doesn't. No two people are going to express their emotions in exactly the same way. Where one person might sing and jump around for joy, another person might just smile and that's it. But they're expressing the same feeling. With Amity, she's anxious all the time, so her expressions always have a little bit of worry in them, even when she's happy. Her eyebrows always angle up at least a little, like she's sad, and half the time that she tries to smile, it ends up looking more like a face. Although one fun thing about her is that my players keep doing shit to make her blush one way or another, so she turns dark blue, and it's great. So that is going to do it for this episode of It Builds Character. If you have any suggestions or prompts you'd like to see possibly explored in future episodes, leave them in the comments. It could be something like a tiefling monk who grew up in a monastery by the sea and uses this specific style of fighting, where I would then make a design based off that description. Or maybe it would be more in the vein of the reverse design method, like tiefling monk with a sword who wears a moon symbol on their robes, and I'd work on a design as well as possible backstories. Honestly, just anything you guys think would be fun to see. And before I sign off, I want to say, on Joseph's behalf, a big thank you to everyone who's watched and subscribed and left such kind feedback. He has put so much time and love and effort into his videos, and it's so good to see him getting support and appreciation for it. The rest of us still have a lot to learn about all the ins and outs of making videos, but we want to have fun with the channel and we want you guys to have fun too. So thank you all very much, and I hope to see you again soon.